Welcome to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and of course a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. I'm Elizabeth Townsend Guard, I'm a law professor and your host, and I just wanna quilt. And all weekend I have been watching Jeanette at QuiltCon, and this time I just want to be at QuiltCon. Oh my gosh, such beautiful quilts. So we'll start. So this is Elizabeth, and I'm talking to Jeanette Floyd, who was our reporter at QuiltCon 2018 in Pasadena, and you were remarkable. You kept us in the loop. We knew what was going on. It was so much fun. So you got to tell us sort of all about it. So we've been seeing pictures there on our on the Facebook page, and it was just awesome. I mean, I can't even imagine being there. So tell me, what was it like to be there, and how did it compare to what you had been to before?
For me, it was like the Disneyland of quilts, or maybe even better. So, as you know, I'm new to quilting, right? And I've been to 2 road shows. No shade on the road shows, Road to California. But for me, QuiltCon was the quilts. It was all about the quilts and nothing but the quilts. And everything else around it was more like a supporting cast to it.
Yeah.
It was just phenomenal. And they had sections and sections of quilts everywhere. If you had a certain quilts that you like, you could just sit there and stand there. They were spaced incredibly well. And even the vendors were around, but not in between the quilts. It was just phenomenal. I give kudos to, I think it's Rianne and Andrew and the whole Modern Quilt Group team that they did a phenomenal job. And that was my first one. And I was listening to other folks who had been to the QuiltCons before.
Yeah.
And they said by far, this was the best one. So they are definitely, in the 5 years I think they've been doing this, they have definitely stepped up their game.
Amazing.
So that was good to hear.
Hold on. I've got a teenager that's like talking way too loud in the background. So hold on one second.
Okay.
Back. Okay.
You might have to cut that piece out.
No, it'll be fine. It's just like it was getting louder and louder. And I thought like, okay, everyone's going to know her plans for Sunday afternoon.
Hey, I totally understand. Mom,
oh my God.
Wife.
Totally. Okay. So I have a number of questions about this. First, how big do you think the show was? Can you give us a sense of how many quilts there were, or how big a space it was?
So Pasadena Convention Center is 3 buildings, and they were in all 3 buildings.
Wow.
Most of the quilts were in the 2 major exhibit halls. And the other building, that's where the press were, and classrooms. There were classrooms everywhere. So this was really, and it was very easy to get to. It was easy to find things. It wasn't that hustle and bustle about, they kind of told you got to go around the corner and stuff like that. But it was very easy to get to different things. That one where the yoga class was, all I had to do, I asked, I said, so where's the yoga class? And the lady said, here is it over here. When you had press access, they gave you access to everything.
All right. So tell me about that. Because I had press access at Quilt Market and Quilt Festival, and it was really remarkable. So tell me what your experience of that was like.
It was great. They said, your press, come right on in. Like there was a huge line to get in the very first day, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought maybe I would have to stand in line, but I showed them, I said, well, I'm part of press. And they went, oh no, you get to come in early. And I was like, really?
That's so great.
And so I got to get in there before everyone showed up, which is what I wanted to do, because I wanted to make sure you guys got to see this stuff without all the people around it, right? Or me having to say, excuse me, or I'm sorry, and that's what was good. So every morning I tried to get into each of the different areas so that I could take those pictures of those quilts where you could really see the quilt and not have to run into people. So that was
and you can see why. I mean, it's amazing. The pictures are amazing. We had the same privilege at Quilt Market, so they allow the press in about an hour early so that you can take photos. And if you didn't, then it'd just be like heads in the way and stuff. So it would be
Yeah.
like impossible.
It was. Yeah, it was. It was kind of like that a little bit with the vendors because they weren't ready to really talk to you or do anything until, all the people came in. But it was fine. I sat back, I waited, and not one person, not one, when I told them this was a research project and you were working on like a thesis talking about quilting, everybody's eyes just bugged out. It was like, they were like,
funny.
It was
funny,
like,
isn't
really?
it?
Never thought of that.
I know. It's weird, huh? It's really weird.
And so, I told them about the website and the podcast, and we'd love to talk to them. And every single one said yes. So I have a pile of business cards I've got.
I'm so psyched. I'm so psyched. Well, we got to figure out how to get all that to us and all that. That is just, so that was our experience at Quilt Market too, that people were very generous and kind and interested in the project. And it was kind of this for me at least, it was really amazing and overwhelming that people would be so willing to chat with us.
It was. They had no problem wanting to talk. And that's what, I had to give because I've never done press before, right? And so I would go up and I said, okay, don't be timid. Just ask them. The worst they can say is no, and you just keep it moving, right?
Right.
Every single one said yes. So I had it bolstered my confidence, and I went, you know what? We're going to ask everyone.
That's right. Good for you. And you were so funny because there's one video. I love the Facebook videos. There's one where you're like, this is Jeanette Floyd from JustWannaQuilt, and I was like, oh, look at us. It's so awesome. I love it. I owned
great.
It. You sounded so official. It was great.
Yeah, I was amazed when I would come home. I go, okay, Jeanette, you were very natural with this.
You are. You really are.
Well, all I did was, my thought was, if I'm watching this, what would I want the person who's out there showing things to show me?
Yeah.
And so that's what my mindset was. And I'm one who loved details and getting into the nitty gritty. So I said, okay, then let's just show them exactly how you would look or approach a conference.
Exactly.
And that's literally what I did.
That is so great. Well, it was so much fun to see the live video. How hard was it to do the Facebook video?
It was not. So I'll tell you true story.
Yeah.
I am in my family what they call technology challenge. My nickname, if you've ever seen the movie Powder, because I can tear up equipment just by looking at it or touching it. So my husband, when he found this out, his eyes got really big, and I went, don't laugh at me. So to me, it was not difficult at all, which I have to tell you is a really great thing. It was very, very easy to do once I got the hang of it. And I was like, okay, we're just going to go for this. And there were some spots, maybe like dead spots, maybe in the exhibit hall. So all I did was I said, okay, we're going to videotape it. I'll videotape it on my phone, and then I'll post it.
That's super
smart. That's what I did. Yeah.
We were at a quilt shop, and they had the same problem. The internet connection was terrible, so we ended up having to just record it and then post it later. So that makes a lot of sense. Well, they were great. And did you go? You went with somebody. Did you go with somebody? Do they want to stay anonymous? Who did you go with?
I went with Muriel Geis the first day, and she hung out like nobody's business. She was like, Jeanette, let's do whatever we're going to do. Go here, go there. She even jumped in. I think you might hear her voice on the first one when we were doing the winner.
Great, right?
That was that was Muriel. So we kind of and we didn't know we were going to do this, but we just tag team. So I'd ask a question, she'd ask another question. I'm going, wait, okay, now I have another question to ask. So, and that's kind of what we did on some of them. And then that was the first day, and then I kind of got the hang of it. The next couple of days, and I went, okay, I'll just rock it.
I love it. I love it. Now, were you on your own the next days? Did she come back with you?
No, I came back by myself. There was one lady helping me. I said, if you see something interesting, pass out the card for me.
That's
see
great.
if someone would be interested that maybe I had not connected to. And that day she said, Jeanette, you talk to just about everybody.
It's so great. It's so great. I adore you. Just so great. So how were the business cards? Did that help, having the business cards?
It did. One of the things folks wanted to do, and I'll make a recommendation, the next time you do the cards, they were all high gloss.
Yeah.
So people wanted to write on them.
Got it.
So maybe the next one's maybe low gloss or no gloss, so they can write. They were trying to catch your name
right.
and write on who you were versus who I was on the back of it. But I just gave him a sheet of paper or something. We worked it out. So
Got it. So that's good. We'll do Matt next time. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
How many cards do you think you went? Did you go through? Like, did it come in 2 boxes?
It came in one box. One kind of. What is this box? It's fairly long box. It's you had quite a few cards in there, but I think
we sent 500 to you.
Yeah, I put a nice little dent in it for you.
I like that. That's great. So how did you feel like I look at the quilts, it's like it almost takes my breath away. I can't even imagine being near all of that beauty. Did you feel that way? Was it hard? Was it overwhelming to see that much beautifulness in one room?
It was completely and totally overwhelming. And I had to catch myself going, okay, you got to take a picture of this. Because I would just stand there and I would be stunned. Yeah. And I said, okay, take a picture, get the picture done, and then come back and stare at it. And so yesterday, because I was there for 3 days, so yesterday is towards the end is when I really sat and just kind of immersed myself into them.
That's great.
But for the most part, the first 2 days I said, okay, get the pictures done, get them in there. Right. And then I could take a look at them the night of, and then go back and look at the ones that I really, really wanted. It was interesting. A lot of the ones you guys pulled out, those were the ones that I kept going back.
Really? Interesting.
They were just so phenomenal, particularly that one applique one that everybody was asking about, the white one with the black.
Oh, right. With the kind of the arches.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just stunning the way she had those stitches creating that archway going into every time I would go past it, I'd have to look at it and you see something new every time, right? It's like a museum picture. Yeah. It was just so phenomenal. And you see just little different things on all these quilts. These people really they're just quilters. They were just in it. You can see the passion and the love in it. Yeah. And the young lady we interviewed, the winner, right. She had only been doing this for 3 years.
Amazing, right? Like just a regular quilter, right? With
regular quilter. And right. She had said she had support, she had teachers, and that she stopped at a certain point of doing patterns. She just started making her own patterns. Yeah. And so if anything, I can encourage all of us out there, start doing that, stepping out of your comfort zone. It sounds like what she did. And the last speaker that I spoke with, Sean Kimber, she was saying the same thing. When you're reviewing things, looking at things, get some folks around you that are just you would trust to critique your work, and then just go for it. Don't worry about what everyone else has to say. If this is what you want to do, it's how you want to present it. Just understand it may not be the final product of what you're trying to do, but it's a process, and be okay with that. Don't let these things hold you back or get you frustrated. So I saw where one person on our site was talking about cutting up I think it was a quilt they were doing and it wasn't working for them.
I saw that.
And that's exactly what she was talking about. Try something else, switch it up, make it new, cut it up, or, change it out. But do that. Don't just let it stop you and frustrate you. That's so really that was great advice.
Now, did you feel like when I saw the pictures, I felt both inspired and completely overwhelmed? Like when I tried to quilt myself last night, I was just like, oh, I can't quilt. Like I was just like I had spent the day seeing these beautiful quilts. I'm like, oh, why am I even trying? Did you feel that way at all when you were there?
I did, but I said, okay, that's that negative Nelly, right?
That's right.
It was like, no, I can do this, because I came in last night and I was looking at my quilt, the one I'm trying to work on. And the first thing came into my head was, you are not going to be able to do this. And it was like, no, I am going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to complete it. So it was like one step. One thing you're going to do? And I said, okay, let's just clean up some of the fabric that I've been auditioning fabric, right? And I went, okay, pick out 2 or 3 things that you audition, you're not going to use. Yeah. So it's just something to keep me moving, and not be so shocked and in awe that I know I'll never get it, because I'm sure these people who made these quilts, they did the same thing. That's right? So keep it moving. Don't stop.
They're supposed to inspire us, if they intimidate us, it's okay. So just keep going. Is that
keep going? Right. Keep going. Don't let it stop you. Intimidate, probably. Scare you, yes. Overwhelm, absolutely. In shock and awe, that's all fine. Those are all normal feelings, but don't stop.
But I finished something yesterday, and I showed my kid, and she's like, it kind of looks like the back